your Substack publication isn't growing or isn't making as much money as you'd like, I want to be honest with you about something. Most of the time, it's not because your niche is wrong, it's not because you're a bad writer, and it's not that Substack doesn't work. It's because of a small number of painful but fixable mistakes that I see creators making over and over again across every niche and every starting point. At Right Build Scale, we have now worked with more than 1,000 creators on this platform, coaches, consultants, writers, experts, and I'm seeing the same patterns over and over again. In this video, I want to show you exactly what the most common mistakes are and, more importantly, how to fix them. So if you've been publishing consistently and not seeing the growth or revenue you expected, this is for you. My name is Sinem Günel, and together with my co-founders Philip and Yari, I run the Right Build Scale publication with over 46,000 subscribers and 1,600 paid members that is leading the Substack education space. So let's get into it. Here is a basic assumption that leads to the first mistake that a lot of creators make on Substack. If you write good content and publish it consistently, people will find you. And that's partially true. The writing matters, the consistency matters, but it's not enough on its own, because Substack is not a search engine. You're not going to rank for keywords the way you might on Google or YouTube. When you publish an article to your publication, the people who receive it are mostly the people who already subscribe to your newsletter. Everyone else who is on the platform has no idea that your work even exists. This is what I call the invisible publication problem. You could write the most valuable content on the platform, but if you are not actively doing something to bring new people in, you are simply publishing into the void because nobody knows that your work exists. When I talk to people about why they should be on Substack right now, my key argument is that Substack makes it incredibly easy to actually build your audience compared to other social networks or building your own website from scratch. But that's only true if you actually tap into the platform's growth opportunities and use them. And the two most powerful drivers of discovery on Substack right now are notes and recommendations. Notes are Substack's short-form content feed. Shorter posts, more frequent, more visible to people who don't subscribe to your publication yet. At Right Build Scale, we have generated over 10,000 subscribers directly through consistent notes activity. This is not about viral moments, but about consistent daily presence over time. If you are not publishing on notes regularly, you are essentially invisible to everyone outside of your current subscriber list. Recommendations, on the other hand, work very differently. This is when another Substack creator recommends your publication to their own existing audience, and new visitors who find their publication see your recommendation alongside theirs. We have generated over 9,000 subscribers almost entirely through recommendation partnerships, and right now over 700 other publications are recommending us. It happened because we actively reached out, built relationships, and made the case for why our publication is a good fit for their audience. The fix here is not complicated, but it does require a real shift in how you think about your content. Your articles serve the readers you already have. Your notes and your recommendation partnerships are how you reach the ones who have not found you yet. Both channels need to be running at the same time, otherwise your publication risks staying invisible regardless of how good your content is. The second mistake is almost invisible until you look for it, which makes it one of the most expensive mistakes you can make. Most creators spend all their energy on getting new subscribers, and then the moment someone subscribes, nothing happens. They get a default welcome email from Substack, maybe a thanks for subscribing message if the creator bothered to even set one up, and then they wait for the next post to land in their inbox. That's a missed opportunity at the moment that matters the most in your relationship. When someone subscribes to your publication, they are at peak interest. They just found you. They thought that you were worth subscribing to, and they handed you their email address. That's the moment to tell them what you are all about, what they can expect, and what the best place to start is. And if you have a paid tier or an entry-level product, it's the perfect time for a soft pitch. What we do with our clients is treat the welcome email like your most important piece of content. It should tell the new subscriber exactly who you are and what they will get as part of your audience, and give them a clear next step. And if you have a product, a lead magnet, or a paid tier, the welcome email is where you introduce it for the first time. It's not a hard sell, but a very simple next step inviting them to check out the next layer. And the specific thing that we've seen make a real difference is to add a short mention of your paid tier with a small incentive, like a discount or a bonus, to your welcome email. This is not a high pressure tactic, just a well-timed introduction. The people who joined because your free content already convinced them don't need much more than a clear path to say yes. After the welcome email, the next question is, what does someone find when they go back to explore your publication in more detail? Do they see a clear become a member page that explains exactly what paid subscribers unlock? Is the value obvious? Is there social proof from existing members? The point here is that getting the subscriber is just step one. It's not the finish line. What you do in the first few hours after they subscribe determines whether they stay curious or quietly lose interest. Now, the third mistake is for the creators who want to make money on Substack and can't figure out why their paid tier isn't converting, even though they have one and even though it has real value behind it. And here's what I always find when I dig deeper. The real reason creators end up being stuck is the path to the paid tier. So I want you to imagine the following situation. Someone has seen your content, they liked it, and they are spending a few seconds on your publication. What happens next? Do they scroll through the archive and find the subscribe button? Do they end up on a default about page that is generic and sounds like any other page? If you are creating a bad experience, most people won't convert. Not because they don't want what you are offering, but because you are making them work really hard to give you money. What we teach our clients is to treat the paid tier like a product with its own dedicated landing page. We call this a become a member page. It clearly explains what paid subscribers unlock, what specific resources and benefits are included, and it features real quotes from existing paid members, the kind of social proof that pushes someone from being curious to being committed. The other piece of this is how you actually structure your articles. For example, we never lock a full article behind the paywall. We give free subscribers a real substantial section they can read for free, and then the paywall arrives at the exact point where they might want more. The person who hits that wall is already engaged, already getting value, and the upgrade feels like a natural next step rather than a hard sell. Once your publication is properly set up and you have nailed down your content strategy, the revenue usually isn't a traffic problem, it's a friction problem, which means your key goal is to make it easy for someone to go from being a first-time visitor to becoming a subscriber and later a paid member. And if you want a clear action plan to do exactly that, I have put together a Substack bestseller workbook that takes you through the exact frameworks and ideas that will help you grow your subscriber count and convert them into paying readers. You can find the link in the description box below. The fourth mistake is one that quietly causes more frustration than almost anything else on Substack, and I even see it happen with creators who are doing a lot of things right. Even though Substack now has a lot of social elements and tools that make it easy for you to connect with others and grow your audience, I want you to be careful about not using them with a social media mindset, because on Substack we are not chasing visibility for the sake of views and followers. We are building real sustainable businesses by investing in our email lists. Even though people can technically follow you on Substack, your number of followers is actually hidden in your dashboard. And my recommendation is to never even look at it, because let's be honest, followers are worthless and likes are not paying your bills. The only thing we are optimizing for is reaching the right people and getting them to subscribe to your publication. Why? Because only a subscriber will receive your next post in their inbox when you click on publish. When you launch something, they hear about it. When you make an offer, they pay attention. So if you are looking at your numbers right now and you're feeling stuck, make sure you're actually looking at the right ones. Now, there's a related version of this mistake that shows up specifically around Substack notes. A lot of creators see viral notes in their feed, posts posts with thousands of likes, huge reach, and they start chasing those results. And I get why it's tempting, but here's what I want you to understand. A note with 1,000 likes from 1,000 people who have zero interest in your specific publication is not an asset, it's just noise. What actually matters is whether your notes are attracting the right people. I would rather have a note that gets 20 likes and converts 2 of those readers into subscribers than a note that gets 200 likes and sends no one to my publication. The goal is not cheap visibility, it's visibility in front of the exact right people who are genuinely aligned with what your publication is about and who are likely to stick around and eventually become paying members. So watch the numbers that actually tell you something. Subscriber growth, open rate, reply rate, conversion rate. Those are the signals that your publication is actually working. So let's ignore the vanity metrics that look good in a screenshot but don't move your business forward at all. So if those are the mistakes, what does it look like when someone actually gets it right? The honest answer is it's not just one thing. The creators who move fastest are getting several things right at the same time, and the ones who stay stuck are usually missing at least 2 or 3 of the pieces I've talked through here. They have a visibility system running, notes consistently, recommendation partnerships actively built, and a clear understanding of which content brings new readers in and which content serves the ones who are already there. They do something deliberate with every new subscriber, a welcome email that tells the full story, a clear path to their best content, and a well-timed introduction to what's available if someone wants to go deeper. They have made it easy and frictionless to upgrade, a paid tier that looks like a real product, a dedicated page that does the selling for them, and an article structure that delivers real value before the paywall arrives so that saying yes feels like a natural step instead of a gamble. And they watch the right numbers, not follower counts or likes, but the signals that tell them whether the right people are finding them, staying, and eventually paying. None of this requires you to go viral or chase weird growth hacks. None of it requires a massive existing audience. What it requires is building the infrastructure piece by piece so that every part of your publication is pointing in the same direction. The creators who close the gap fastest are the ones who stopped trying to figure it all out alone and got clear, specific feedback on what was actually holding them back. Someone looking at their specific situation and telling them exactly what to fix. Now, if that's where you are right now and you want to close that gap with direct support, our private coaching program might be the right next step. We've helped creators across dozens of niches at various starting points and would love to chat with you to see if our program is a fit for you as well. The application link is in the description box below, or you can go directly to substackcoaching.com. I'll see you there.